I'm Brian Carpenter, host of Fresh Air at 5, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of My EdTech Life. I am so excited to be here with you all on this wonderful Tuesday evening here in Texas. However, anywhere in the world that you may be joining us from, it may be Wednesday or well into your day Wednesday. Thank you so much for making My EdTech Life a part of your day. And as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for making My EdTech Life what it is today. I really appreciate all the likes, shares, and follows. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to our podcast, catching our shows, and thank you as always for the amazing feedback that we get from every single one of you. And tonight I am really excited because tonight I have Matt Hammersley here from Novel Effect who is joining us, and we're going to be talking about this amazing and wonderful app. And if you have not heard about Novel Effect, well, you are in for a treat because this app can definitely enhance that reading experience for our students. But I'll let Matt tell us a little bit more about that in just a second. I want to welcome Yaritza to the show. I see your comment here, Yaritza. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to pop them into the chat. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Matt, how are you this evening?
Hey, I'm doing well today. Excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and letting me come to spread a little magic to folks.
Excellent. And magic is the correct word. I love that because Novel Effect truly is a wonderful app that I myself have experienced even from the very beginning in its inception. I just got so excited about it. And I just love to see and hear the amazing feedback that you get from people on social media, on TikTok, everywhere where they are using this app. But before we get started and we dive in a little bit more into the app, Matt, every superhero has an origin story. And for anybody that watches My EdTech Life, they know that anybody that is invited to this show is like a superhero, somebody that is doing some great things in education, somebody whose work I admire or whose work we all admire. So, Matt, can you please tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Yeah, sure thing. But I will say I cannot take the credit of anything. When we talk about real superheroes, those are the teachers out there. Gosh, the last couple of years and what everyone has been through. What we've done here is just about service and aiding those folks who, in my mind, are the real superheroes. So we'll do what we can, right? But they're the ones who deserve the credit. But yeah, so how we got started at Novel Effect and just briefly what it does is it adds music and sound effects to your read alouds. So you read aloud from a book, it hears you, and then synchronizes background music, theme music, sound effects, characters' voices, all about making that reading experience magical for both you and that child. So that's kind of what we do. Now, how do we get there? So goodness, I think it was about 7 years ago, and I know because that's how old my daughter is. We were having a baby shower for our daughter before she was born and asked everyone to bring us books instead of cards so we could start building a little library for her. We're new parents. We're not really sure what to do, but we do know that reading to our kids is exactly what we should be doing. So that part we got right. And one of my wife's friends at the party started reading to us the book that she brought. And she added in all these fun voices and sound effects and captivated a room of adults and kids in her story. And I was a patent attorney at the time, doing patents and intellectual property law. And I had actually worked in the voice technology space. And so it was a light bulb moment right when she was reading that said, oh my God, if every parent and teacher could tell stories like this, all kids would love to read. I couldn't let it go. And I was up, pretty much every night, bugging my wife, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, about all these cool things that we could do with this, how much of an impact it could make. And 3 months later, quit my job, sold our house, had our daughter, and went all in and started the company.
Wow, that is amazing. And see, this is some of the things that I love about doing this show when you get to hear just the inspiration that comes, you know, into the creation of platforms such as this, where the story comes from. Because I feel that, the users, which in this case are teachers or even parents that are out there that have accounts for their child. I mean, it's great to hear where this all came from. It gives them a story, and then of course you're building that connection with, obviously your consumers, and they know what you stand for and what you value. So this is great. So thank you so much for sharing that. So now, patent attorney, working with voice and then developing this. Tell us a little bit about that process. Like, I know that this was something that maybe you said, okay, we can do this, for our daughters, we can do this for our kids. But did you have any idea that this would blow up into what Novel Effect is today?
Oh, well, I always hope so in one way, shape, or form. But no doubt it has been a roller coaster experience from the first initial start. There's been at least three distinct points in time throughout our journey where we had to make the decision of, do we throw in the towel or do we keep going? Because one thing's for sure is that you can't win if you quit, right? So no one who ever wins quit, right, along that journey in the path to that win. So it's really about making sure you know what's important, right, and that you're listening to your gut and what people are telling you about the product that you built and the company that you built, as to keeping it going and maintaining through kind of some of those difficult parts.
Excellent. Well, that's good to know. Now, as far as the growth that you have now, what has been some of the, the response that you get from teachers? I know, like I mentioned to you, I see a lot of TikTok videos. I see teachers on social media that are posting, and that they're just really excited. How does that make you feel, about something that you created that, like you said, you fought for, you worked through, and now you're seeing the fruits of your reward in this. How does that make you and the company feel?
Oh, it's amazing. I tell you, we probably cry at least once a week, from the response and feedback that we get from folks. I mean, my favorite things that touches me the most is, when a teacher has an experience where they were able to reach a child that has been difficult to reach, for myriad of reasons or circumstances or personalities. There's a lot of kids out there that don't like reading right now.
Mhm.
For whatever reason that is special for that child. But with the app, and what our focus is about, is that connection and that engagement between the teacher or parent and the child or student, right? That is what we're trying to strengthen and bond. And when we hear stories of teachers getting to experience the joy of reading with their little ones, that's what really sticks with us, right? Almost on a daily basis. We've been hearing a lot too that they've been getting like standing ovations after a read aloud. And how good does that feel for the teacher as well? To know that this isn't just some app you give your kids and you walk away. No, it's the teacher, right, who is bringing the magic and being the one to lead that inspiration into the joy of that story.
And that's wonderful that you say that, because I can remember the days back when I was in elementary, and, even, going in through fifth grade and even middle school, librarians, we would go to the library, and then of course we had our book of the week that they would read, and of course we're all sitting there, around the librarian. She's got her fancy chair, in the corner, and so on. And of course we were reading, and I mean, we were just excited. But the addition that, the additional layer of that reading enhancement, that Novel Effect, is what to me is very exciting. And because, again, as a knowing myself now, if I had this, or we had this available when I was in elementary, it would definitely probably make me more of a better reader, in the sense that I would be encouraged to read more. Therefore, I would be practicing my reading a lot more. And like you said, for different reasons, there may be some students that may not be at level per se, for now. But something like this, like Novel Effect, can definitely would encourage a lot of students to read and make that reading experience a lot more exciting. So definitely agree with that. And again, I can attest to that as myself. Like I mentioned to you many years ago when Novel Effect first came out and trying it out, I was like, this is something that is great. And I'm glad that it continues to grow and is continued to be used by a lot of teachers that are out there. And they're definitely grateful for that. So that's great.
And
Now,
and
as
what
far,
you said
yeah, go
there,
ahead.
I thought was really interesting, and what we love to see, and we're seeing it more and more, is our main focus right now is like helping and supporting the teachers and parents. But what a kid does when they see this in action, see the music and sound effects respond to the words being read aloud, what do they want to do? They want to be the reader, right? To be the one playing the game and triggering the music and sound effects with their words. And one of the coolest things that I've seen recently is starting these buddy reading programs where they'll have the older kids in the third, fourth, fifth grade go and read to the kinders and the first graders with the app. And it's just amazing. Even the most reluctant of the readers, jumps right in and volunteers, because there's just something about that gives this, makes them the ones who are showing this magic to the younger kids, right? And that's just really special. It gives everyone, the right sense of joy, right?
Excellent. Yeah. And what you mentioned there is something that's great too, because you're building those social skills too as well. And one of the things that when I was still in the classroom, I had a mixed classroom, and then but I also, we had what we call the emergent bilinguals that would come in, whether they may still be learning English or maybe they don't feel comfortable speaking or presenting just because they feel self-conscious. And it's not that they don't know the material, but it's just, again, sometimes students can be, sometimes a little mean, sometimes just because of certain things. But what I love that you mentioned is that excitement, because it takes me back into the classroom where you have a product that is going to enhance the learning in a way that encourages the student to want to be a reader, to practice, but also, like you mentioned, the social skills where you have the buddies system, or the buddies, the older buddies that come in and read. And now you're building community, you're building collaboration skills, that communication. And I think that's something that is so important. And it's amazing that an app like yours can do all of that, just by enhancing with sounds and sound effects the reading, but you're doing so much more than that. So that's something that I really do appreciate, that what you're doing.
Yeah. And you said some things there that are just near and dear to my heart. And the biggest is community, right? And that is exactly how we think of the way our product should work and the way our company is really structured and what we're here for. We started offering school plans actually not too long ago, where everyone inside the school, all of the staff, all of the teachers can have access. And we set it up in a way where it was one flat fee price for the whole school, right? Everybody, the gym teacher, the PE teacher, everyone gets it, right? Even the substitutes, right? They get access as part of our school plans. And the reason that we did that is because it is about community. It's about the way that you reach these kids and wanting to help them on their reading journey is to surround them with readers. So even if it's just one time, right, once a year, twice a year, the more situations that they're exposed to where people that they look up to are reading to them, and it's exciting and it's engaging, the more meaningful that time is going to be and the better the community is built around them.
Oh, excellent. I absolutely love that you said that. And, again, I just want to, again, show a comment here that Yaritza is joining us. So thank you so much, Yaritza, who
Maritza,
is
oh, so
joining
good to
us.
see you.
Yeah. Yeah, Yaritza says here, that's an awesome activity idea and a way to include all students in the experience. Absolutely right. So thank you so much, Yaritza, for joining. Also, Yaritza is an author as well. So thank you so much for being part of the show this evening, Yaritza. So Matt, tell me a little bit more. Okay, now that we kind of talked a little bit about this, and I guess I got a little bit ahead because I'm just really, really excited about this. But going back to just the start of Novel Effect, and like you said, you working, with voice and working, in that industry, now those skills that you have, and now you're working more in the education landscape. Tell me a little bit more about that experience as far as coming in from that industry, coming in into the education landscape, and maybe having to learn to work with teachers. Oftentimes it's said, teachers, can be very, I don't want to say difficult to work with, but we are very special, as far as our needs and things of that sort. But how was that transition into the education space for you?
Well, what I love about working with teachers and supporting teachers is they're honest. Like if it doesn't work, they're
Yeah.
going to tell you about it. And I love that because I want it to work, right? But you don't know when it doesn't work unless someone tells you. So, those that feedback, that unadulterated feedback is amazing, and what we want, more than anything, is just making sure that what we're doing is right and what we're doing, works for them. But you're right. In our transition, or me personally, I was an engineer. I got my degree in chemical engineering. I was a math guy, for the most part. And then going into the world of intellectual property law, I wasn't dealing with teachers or schools. This wasn't a subject that I was, really professionally honed in on. But all throughout my life, I've been surrounded by teachers in my family, with extended family and other folks. And so it's always been there. And then when we had our daughter and this whole idea came up to begin with, it really changes you in how you think about the world, right? And what things you need to do. There's really not much more that is transformational and impactful to someone as having a child. And it really made me think about, okay, well, what is it that I need for my child to survive, to not just survive, but thrive? Right. And reading was so big and important into that. So I feel like what we're coming to this with is a very unique perspective without being immersed in the education system as it currently is. Because there's a lot of products out there that are geared and created by folks who have seen it, who are there. We wanted to take a little bit of an outside approach and then listen to them, talk to them, and listen to them on exactly what it is going to be helpful. And what we heard throughout the 2.5 years it took us to build the first version, right, was they were tired of being replaced by stuff, right? That people would build these products, they think they're engaging, but they didn't involve the teacher hardly at all. And if they were just like a babysitter, right, as part of their how they integrated with the platform or the technology. And there was very little that actually strengthened the relationship between the teacher and the child. And time and time again, that's the kind of frustrations that were hearing from folks. Like, why isn't anything out there that is helping us versus just trying to replace us with AI and technology? And that was, a very different approach that we took, I think, into building the product and building our company is really about, that support and strengthening. And they're the ones bringing the magic. The app sits to the side, right? You're not looking at the app. The app's down there and it's just hearing you and it's adding in its effects, but you're there reading the picture book and the kids are looking at you.
Wow. I must say that the way that you describe that, oftentimes it's like, well, no, we stop, be the guide on the side, don't be just that teacher that's just really focused on just me, and so on. But, the way you said that, you're absolutely right. And I never really thought about it just because I'm immersed in technology the whole time. And then I'm thinking, what better way to facilitate things for teachers? And for me, my goal is always to give teachers some time back. But the way that you explain this, I'm like, I never thought about that side where teachers do still want to be included. And the way that you describe that, stating, the app is not going to replace me. The app is just really giving me another layer to bring what I need to bring that lesson to life to enhance students. And we often, say, no, we need to engage our students and give them more engaging lessons. And oftentimes it's like, well, here's this platform. Just have them get on the platform and the students will be engaged. But yeah, that leaves the teacher kind of out of the picture. But there are some teachers that, obviously they definitely want to be part of that. And I love the way that you explained that, because to me now that gives me also a different perspective. So I'm learning something great today, and kind of changing a little bit of my view and opening my eyes up a little bit more to that. But you're absolutely right. I really love the way that the app, like you said, it's not a very intrusive. It's there, and it just, as you're reading and you're putting your own inflections into it and your tone, I mean, it just adds that additional layer, which I absolutely love. So thank you so much for sharing that. That is great. So we've got Amanda here also. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us this evening. Amanda, also longtime follower of the show. So Matt, so tell me a little bit more now as far as how the tech actually work, because you did mention AI, and the reason I want to ask that a little bit is because this whole last month being on break
Mhm.
has been just talk about chat gpt, and oh my gosh, that's it, teachers are done, the AI is going to take care of everything, like we just kind of talked about. But really, I just want to know a little bit more about just the tech that goes with novel effect. So if you can, for our first time listeners, or maybe that are very going to be very new to the app, can you give us just a little brief descriptor as far as how this is going to work? And also, does this work with any book, or is it specific books that you may have in your library?
Yeah. So what the app does, right, is uses voice recognition, right, to hear someone read a book out loud. It then says, "Where are you in this book?" And then synchronizes this musical score that we have composed. Think of it like a movie style soundtrack, right? Essentially, but it's dynamic to you. So at your pace, at your speed, when you read the words out loud, it will synchronize all along with you. You can even jump around, you can start in the middle, you can skip pages, and it will always kind of keep track with wherever you are. Now, we do custom compose all of the music and sound effects and character voices specific for each title. So we employ, I think, oh gosh, we're over 30 musicians and composers and sound designers who score the book in the very similar way you would score a film inside of our unique adaptive environment that we have created. So that's kind of the guts of like what the technology is and how it works. But what's so crazy is like it's instant. Like you say, the bear growled, and the bear growls immediately, right, when you say it. And that kind of dynamic responsiveness, right, is so crucial to create this kind of immersive feel, as well as what it's providing in context and understanding of the story. So, for example, one of the things I love about our app and the soundscapes that we create is its ability to convey emotion. Like music has this uncanny power, right, to convey emotion regardless of your language skill, right? It You could have no knowledge of the English language, but when you hear a sad song, you know it's sad, right? When you hear someone excited in a song and the music and the upbeat, you know what that means. And following that contextual understanding and forming the richness of the story that someone is reading is what I think is so cool, right? And really makes it so captivating and engaging.
And something that you touched on there, I think, again, going back to just my personal experience of not liking to read, and later on I did find my passion for reading, but it was until way later on. Usually, actually, it was until I got into my master's program that I really, because I had to read, but then I really enjoyed it. But again, when I'm thinking and I'm reading, it's just like words on a page. But when you add that, you're right, that music, you're reading out loud, and then you get that soundscape in addition to what you're reading. It it really just draws you in, and you really immerse yourself within that book, in that story, and that's what I love about it. So I mean, that immersive technology that novel effect offers is by far wonderful, and especially for the youngins. And I know usually we say immersive technology and it's like, oh, you got to have some goggles on and do this and do that, but just
Mhm.
immersing yourself in a great book with a nice soundscape, and then you get those additional sounds. It's definitely wonderful. So I do have a couple of questions here. I did have a question here from Amanda. So I do want to ask this. Does it work for languages other than English?
It does actually. We have Spanish inside of the app now. So we have English and Spanish, and we're working on adding more and more languages all of the time. So hoping French probably after that as well. But what's really cool to see with the dual English and Spanish that we've seen so far is like you read one book in English, and then you can read the same book in Spanish, and the soundscape matches, right? And it's informing context and meaning, right? So I don't know what this word means in this language, but I heard the cow moo in this part. And then I hear this other word and the cow moves right after that. That word must mean cow, right? It's a way to kind of help inform the meanings of these words as you are learning the language as well. Because I'm not sure, a lot of language learning for adults actually happens with children's picture books. So it's kind of the same kind of way, but now we're adding in another sensory experience to it with not just the visuals, not just the text written down, but also the audio element that can help inform the meanings. And so I think there's a lot of power there when you've got but the same story in English and Spanish in different languages that you can like go back and forth towards.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's again, the comments coming through are, Amanda and Jesus who joined us. Thank you so much, Jesus, for joining us on the show this evening. Also with Tim Cavey, also who's joining us. Appreciate y'all showing a lot of love here in the chat, and people are just really excited about what Novel Effect can do. And of course, like Amanda here says, it sounds fun and play matters. I mean, this is something where the students are engaged, they're learning, they're playing, they're having fun, and more than anything, it's just that creativity. As like they're reading their book, they're just falling into the book itself and playing the parts, and that's something that is so important. And through my experience, and I'm going to be honest, this is something that we don't do enough in classrooms there. And I'm not saying all teachers, but sometimes it's very difficult. And as you know, of course, we always focus on, preparing our students for testing and doing things a certain way. But something like this, like I said, just thinking outside the box a little bit and providing something like this can definitely make a big difference, So
I
here we
love that
have a
comment by
Yaritz.
Amanda too. I love that comment by Amanda too of hashtag
Yeah.
fun matters. And that is exactly how we think. And it's what we focused on first. We say it almost at the first of most of our meetings where fun first, right? We're doing this to make it fun first. And then you get their attention, then you get their engagement. The educational outcomes flow naturally once you have that. But if you don't have it, you are basically trying to ski uphill and it's going to be difficult.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It says here, okay, so Yaritza says here, I love using Novel Effect with my daughter, and she's watching her face and just watching her face light up as the sound changes. Absolutely. So,
Oh,
Matt,
and
I'm
I
looking.
gotta say
Oh,
one thing because that Yuritsa's comment there is just one thing that we truly key in on, and this is what I think makes us so unique. Every parent, every teacher, like, what's their why? Why are they trying? Right? Why are they there as a teacher? Why are they trying with their kids as parents? To help them read and learn. And what they love to see and what they need to see is that look on the kid's face of being wowed, right? When I know with me and my daughter, what I love is showing her things that she never knew was possible, right? Opening up her world and her eyes to different things, whether it's the context of the story, right, that we're reading. But it's that look, it's very undescribable or it's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it, right? And it's that kid's face that we want teachers and parents to see more often when they get that just total look of inspiration and just amazement and wonder.
oh, that is awesome. Yes, I absolutely agree with everything. So, yes, Yaritza, thank you so much for your comments. And of course, with Amanda saying, this definitely sparks the joy in the classroom and in the student and in the parent too, because we got to keep in mind, like looking at your website here, this is not simply just for educators, but you do have plans for parents, like you said, for schools and even for public libraries. So you are accessible to through many different platforms and many different ways to get this app on your child's hands or be part of that community that may go out there and read to kids, or you're reading to your own kids, and that's great. But I wanted to talk about your website a little bit as I go in here into your resources. Can you tell our audience members a little bit more about uh, the book activities that you have available that are here that you can download? So tell us about a little bit about those resources.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about this. We actually added an educator to our team. Her name is Catherine Coyle. She is amazing. Was a 6-year educator inside of the classroom and has taken the lead in creating what we call these book activities, right? And our whole thought process here is, well, we're supporting educators, we're supporting teachers, we're supporting parents, and we're going to help them before, during, and after a read aloud, right? And so, what was the one thing that people always did after a read aloud that they wanted support for? An activity, right? Something fun connects to the story, the moral, the lesson, the purpose of reading that particular book, that gives them a hands-on craft activity, right? So everything is like printable activities. There's some discussion prompts and there's questions. Everything's leveled K through 5 as well. Different activities for different age ranges, and these are all freely available.
Oh man, that is awesome. And just looking at this right now, you do have quite a few activities here, and you've got pre-K through third, first through fifth, and it's just wonderful. Like I said, this is that additional layer, that additional support, whether it's for your libraries or whether it's for your classrooms, and just again enhancing that activity and making it relevant. You're putting the book together, and you're doing this together. I think that that's something wonderful. Again, going back to hitting on what the students need to learn, but those activities that are there that they can work as a group together, you're building those skills, that community. And I just absolutely love that. That's wonderful. Also, tell us a little bit about what we may be able to find in your Soundscape library.
Yeah, well, that's the listing of all of the soundscapes, or the collection of
Mhm.
music and sound effects that we compose for a given title. And so the soundscape library is the listing of all those ones that are available. We're up to almost a excuse me, almost 1,000 now. And some of the most popular children's books, the ones that you're already reading, and we're adding about 5 to 10 new ones every single week.
Man, that is great because I do see here that you do have an extensive library, and it's broken down by age levels and grade appropriate. And, this is something that is great. And I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm just so pumped right now. Like I said, I'm glad that we talked a little bit about in the pre chat, about, actually you being very familiar here with our area in the Rio Grande Valley, and making contact here with some of the schools. So definitely I'm going to be sharing this magic also with our librarians and with our elementary teachers and principals, that this could be something that can be done. Now, as far as other support for teachers, what else does Novel Effect offer?
Oh, well, I mean, besides the book activities, the soundscape libraries,
Mhm.
we've got a lot of cool things coming up too that I think are going to be pretty exciting, in order to take it to the next level from both creativity, right, as well as some of the power with the technology and AI and what we're able to kind of understand and do, kind of with in the background. Uh, while people are reading stories. So super excited. Can't let the cat out of the bag quite yet on some of that stuff.
Yes.
But one thing I will say is we've had a lot of fun inviting more and more kids and teachers and parents to star in our soundscapes. And so we'll have them become voiceover artists for a day, right? And we'll basically work with them to help compose the soundscape and give them prompts and lines, to layer in and add to the mix. And so that's one thing we've really been enjoying, and I think folks have been having so much fun with it. So I'm excited to get there where we can take that to the next level.
Oh, excellent. Well, it all sounds great, Matt. I mean, everything that you're doing, like I said, it's really magical and it really pumps me up. But I'm also excited for the wonderful response that you've gotten from educators and from parents and from community, because again, you're building a community based on building community through reading. And I absolutely love that. And of course, having fun and playing, like Amanda spoke here, play matters, and sparking that joy and creativity in our students, their imagination. And I think that's something that is really needed. And again, even for our emergent bilingual students, like you said, offering books in a different language and being able to learn that, I think that you have something that's great. And even looking here at your plans that you offer, everything is so reasonable. And it's, like I said, I know it's a kind of a different type of platform per se. You have the app, but nowadays it just seems like there's many platforms that are out there to, obviously it is a business, but I mean, looking at your plans, I'm like, this is very accessible, and thankful for that. And but again, for all our audience members, I have been putting the link of the website here, and you'll see that in the show notes also as well. But there are some resources here also, for even funding resources that you can look into and things of that sort. And of course, information for your schools. If you are an educator right now and you're listening to this and you're really excited about what Novel Effect has to offer, please make sure that you check out those plans. Or Matt, would they be able to reach out directly to just contact Novel Effect directly? Is there a possibility? What would be the best way to contact you for information on for a district quote or price, or
Yeah, absolutely. Right there on our website, we have a little quote form as well, where you can get pricing, but it's very, very simple. Like I said, flat fee, and like I said, all well within folks' budgets. It's only $500 flat fee for every single teacher and educator inside of a school. Again, we do it that way because we want to help build that community. We want to make the price isn't the decision. That's not what we want it to be about. There's enough stretch then on people's budgets with inside of schools to put it in other areas, but we want to build that community around them. So that's really the goal. But the form right there on the website, and two other things I will say is we are also distributed through Scholastic. So you can actually use your Scholastic reward dollars for your school to get it, which has been, something a lot of people have taken advantage of. And the other thing is, I've been just shocked at how many PTAs have been buying it for all of the teachers. It's been really cool to see the PTA organization get supported that way, or supporting the teachers that way.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful, Matt. I'm really excited, and I'm really thankful for you and everything that you shared. Obviously, I can really see your passion and the intent of this app, and of course, what it's grown to be. And again, getting that wonderful feedback and just making reading fun again is just something that's great and wonderful. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And we know conference season is about to start, a couple of conferences that will be coming up. Can you please let us know, and our audience members, educators that may be, visiting conferences, where they may be able to meet you or meet the Novel Effect team in these conferences that are coming up?
Yeah, we're going to be at FETC, which is in Florida, and I'm going to TCEA this year. Super excited. It's my first TCEA experience. And gosh, we love Texas. I can't tell you how many wonderful teachers that I have met coming out of Texas, and that we've been very fortunate to build a relationship with. So I can't wait to get down there. And if you're listening to this, please come say hello to us at the booth there in Texas.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited. And you did mention ISTE though, right? Also?
Oh yes, absolutely. Those are just the two, I can only think like 3 months
Yeah.
ahead at most. Right.
No
But
worries. So you heard it here, guys. You heard it. FETC, TCEA, and ISTE. So educators, if you're out there, please make sure you stop by the booth, and you can learn more about Novel Effect. You can meet Matt, you can meet the rest of the team, and just get some insight or maybe even ideas as to how you may be able to integrate a Novel Effect into your classroom, or just share your ideas too. And again, like you said at the very beginning, Matt, you do welcome the feedback from educators. So that would be a great way also to see, how well you are doing, and maybe a couple of additional improvements that could be done if necessary. But thank you so much for being a guest and sharing this magic of Novel Effect. But before we wrap up, Matt, I always love to end the show with the following three questions. So your question number one: in the current state of education, what would you say is your current edu kryptonite?
hmm. Burnout teachers,
Okay.
if I'm understanding
Burnout
the question
teachers.
correctly.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Yeah, that
Because I
makes you
mean,
weak. Hey, remember, Kryptonite makes Superman weak and just debilitates him. So right now, what you're seeing is, just the burnt out teachers that kind of like, ugh, So that's a great answer. Burned out teachers. We are seeing a lot of that, and I know we're on break. Some of them are hopefully recharging and coming back, and just trying to
well,
finish off the year.
yeah, it's been a heck of a couple of years, and
Mhm.
I have so much admiration for teachers and what they've had to endure and go through, and that's where my heart like always goes out to when I think of like what's the kryptonite, what's the thing that's pulling things
Yeah.
down, and it's overworked and not giving them enough resources and tools that they deserve, and so that's what I hope to see changing, and hopefully we're kind of coming out of the pandemic, and people will help the teachers and give them exactly what they deserve.
Yeah, excellent. I agree with you 100%. All right, question number 2, Matt. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Hmm. Make reading together magical.
Yes,
And
I agree with that.
the why is a little bit self-explanatory with what we do, but it has all those right components there. It's about together. It's not just them, it's about together reading and the magic and the joy. Like that's what it's about.
Yes, I agree with you. And of course, with Novel Effect, that could definitely be done. And that passion for reading can continue to grow. And like I said, I don't know why I'm really excited about speaking with you about Novel Effect because myself growing up, learning English, and then my parents not knowing the language. I remember I get sent home, and they're like, "Well, you have to practice your reading 20 minutes a day." So there I am, like reading to my parents, but they're not understanding a word I'm saying, but they're sitting there in front of me. They're just nodding their heads, but the fact that they sat there, like you said, community, like they were there to support me. And of course, so that's why this really is really touching and tugging at my heartstrings because it's a great way to build that relationship, that family unit, of course, at school with your students as well, and just get all excited all around. So yeah, love that billboard for sure. All right, Matt. So let's say that Novel Effect had a podcast and you were the host, and I got the opportunity to be a guest on your show. What might be one question you'd like to ask me?
Mm, mm. I would ask you to tell me about a time where you experienced just a pure joy in a read aloud experience.
Ooh, pure joy in a read aloud experience.
So either you as the reader or listener, but pure joy.
Pure joy. It would probably be in grade school. Still, I think it was probably in fourth grade. My teacher was Mrs. Partida. She was my fourth grade teacher, and we would do read out louds in her class. And she would sit there, and very much, again, we didn't have the tech that we have now, but I absolutely loved it that she would go ahead and choose a weekly reader, and we got to read, or excuse me, got to wear the reader's hat. And it was a beautiful little hat that we would wear, almost like those barbershop quartets little hats. And it was just really nice. And it had a little book that she kind of had laminated on there. And it was like the weekly reader. And you got to wear that hat, and you got to choose the book you wanted to read. And I remember that when I got selected, that was probably one of the like best days that I had. And I do remember distinctly running out of school, hopping into the car, and getting excited and telling my mom and dad that I was the weekly reader and I got to wear the hat. And again, that that is really one of those joyous moments that I remember from grade school. So yeah, pure joy in that reading moment.
Oh, I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that. I love that. And it
Excellent.
happens in so many different ways, and I hope it happens again.
Yes, of course, for all our learners, especially now with Novel Effect and what it has to offer, and again, enhancing that learning, enhancing the reading experience, seeing those eyes light up. Like Yaritza said, her eyes light up, but just having our kids' eyes light up and just really just become part of the story as well. And that's something that's amazing. So thank you so much, Matt, for such an inspirational chat. I really, it filled my cup today. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, that your team is doing, and that you continue to do. And I'm looking forward to hearing some more exciting things coming out of Novel Effect and your team in the future. And audience members, please make sure if you are at any of these conferences, FETC, TCEA, ISTE, please make sure you stop by the Novel Effect booth and show them some love, because they're doing some great things for the education community. And also, friends, don't forget to continue to support our show. Please make sure you stop by our website at myedtech.life, myedtech.life, where you can check out this episode and the other 162 amazing episodes with amazing educators and creators that you can learn from and take from and sprinkle on to what you are already doing great. As you know, our mission is to connect educators and creators one show at a time. And if you'd love to contribute to our mission, please make sure you stop by our merch store, or you can hit the Become Awesome tab on the website, where you can buy us a cup of coffee to keep the creativity flowing. But we do have some great merch, some great designs here that you can pick up. Conference season is around the corner, so pick yourself up a shirt or a sweater. And as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for making my EdTech life what it is today. And until next time, my friends, don't forget, stay techie.